Hello everyone, welcome to Friday Live. This is our Australian Skill Migration show that we do every Friday, 4 o'clock Brisbane time, and we are on time. So this is our 7th episode. In this series, what I'm trying to teach you and what I'm trying to cover are general skill migration. Different visas available, different pathways available, and what you can do to secure an invitation and get your visa granted through each state. So in first week we talk about different visas available, visa subclass 189, 190, 491. Then we moved on and talked about skill assessments and how to get your EOIs done. Then we talked about the point systems, how to score the maximum points to increase your chances. Then I think we covered Queensland, South Australia, Western Australia, and today we are talking about New South Wales. Another very interesting state, a big state with good numbers, and a state with many regions for subclass 491 regional work visas, regional skill migration visas. So very interesting, lot of information again today. I will try my best to give the information as simple as possible for someone to understand. So if you are interested about skill migration or any Australian immigration matter, we are registered migration agents. You can get in touch with us, admin@cirrus.com.au, or you can call us 1300 Cirrus. Right, so let's get to it. As you can see, I've written down the pathways as well. So as you know, subclass 190 is the state nominated permanent residency, where an applicant straight away gets permanent residency. The requirement is for you to try and live in the state for at least 2 years. That's a great visa. As you know, you become a permanent resident, so there are no restrictions, no conditions. So a lot of people prefer this, but then as you know, subclass 190 only, the state only gives you 5 points, whereas subclass 491, the state gives you 15 points. Right, so let's get to subclass 190. So what can I say about the state? So New South Wales has invitation rounds happening throughout the financial year, so that's a really good thing. It's not like they have 1 or 2 big rounds and then nothing happens. So they have regular rounds, but they don't really tell you when the next round is going to happen. So if you are ready, what the suggestion is to just go into the just be in the system, skill select system, and lodge your EOI. So when the next round happens, you're in the system, they can pick up your EOI. So they do consider points like the score. So if you're an applicant with lower score compared to higher score, then the higher score might get the invitation first. And they also look at English proficiency. That's why we always advise our clients, try to get your English done and try to achieve at least that superior English. That can really help to make the difference between an invitation or not. And also they look at the years of skilled experience. So then again, the more experience you can have, and that's a very interesting point when it comes to New South Wales. I'll explain to you why New South Wales is very strict in claiming work experience. And also they also look at when you lodged your EOI and select that based on that. Right. So New South Wales, another interesting information that our clients don't know, and we try to educate them as much as we can. So when you go into the skill select system, you can select which state that you are interested in. New South Wales is a state. If you select other states as interested, then New South Wales will not give you an invitation. It is very clear, it's written in the website as well. If you are expecting an invitation from New South Wales, please only select New South Wales as your interested state. If you select any other states, they will not give you an invitation. Because I know a lot of our applicants, they just go and select all the states hoping for better outcomes, but that's not necessarily the reality when it comes to New South Wales. So the basic eligibility for New South Wales 190, you have to first meet the requirement set by the Home Affairs, which is meeting the 65 points on your own, including age, English, work experience, qualification, NATI, and other aspects of the points table. You need to meet the minimum points. So that's the number one requirement. And number two requirement is to have, again, New South Wales skill list is designed in a very interesting way. They go by occupation unit groups. So they don't really necessarily have specific occupations, but their occupation list is divided into 5 groups. So managers, professionals, technicians and trade workers, community and personal service workers, and clerical and administrative workers. And if you go more into it, then they say, so ANSCO code has 6 digits, and they say your ANSCO, it has to belong into the at least first 4 digits of the ANSCO. And as long as the last digits, it doesn't matter, as long as your first 4 digits match, then you can apply under that category in New South Wales. Can be a bit confusing for someone who doesn't know too much about it, but then again, it's not complicated. It actually makes it easier rather than going through a whole list of occupations. So number one, you have to meet the Home Affairs requirement. Number two, you have to be in that ANSCO group of occupations. And then number 3, you have to be eligible to apply for this visa. And then you have to, so this is for 190 again, you have to be currently living in New South Wales or offshore. So right now, New South Wales is not open for people who are living in other states. So you have to either live in New South Wales or live away from Australia. And then you have to have done that for at least 6 months. So you need that residency requirement. And then you need to have lodged an EOI in the skill select and nominate New South Wales only. So I think this is the best key point that you can learn from today's session. If you want New South Wales invitation, don't select any other states. Right, how do I get an invitation for 190 from New South Wales? First, you have to make sure you're eligible. You have to get your skill assessment and make sure that you have the right points. And then you need to make sure that you meet at least the basic eligibility. And then you need to lodge your EOI, expression of interest, in skill select. And then you have to be invited to apply for the nomination. So you need to wait for an invitation to come. Then if you are invited, you have 14 days to give the documents that they request, and then and get the invitation for the final invitation for the visa. Before we go any further, there is another critical information I would like to mention about claiming work experience. So New South Wales is a agency that they are really careful about how people claim work experience. So New South Wales says your work experience can only be claimed from the deemed date of eligibility, or the date that you completed your qualification and deemed qualified. So for example, if you're a baker and you've been working all your life, but then you got a qualification only about 3 years ago, what they're saying is you can only claim your experience after your qualification, or the skill assessing authority will tell us your work experience from this day to this day is acceptable because we believe that that is done after you get your formal qualification. So don't overclaim work experience, especially for New South Wales or any other state, because there will come a time where you have to give evidence to prove this work experience, and you can't not give evidence once they ask, and then they can see where your actual work experience or qualified work experience starts from. So always make sure that don't overclaim work experience for extra points, because there'll come a time where you need to prove it, and if you can't, obviously you can't move to the next stage of getting your invitation or getting your visa, whichever at which point you have to prove it. So that is New South Wales subclass 190. I will now quickly talk about the New South Wales subclass 491. As you know, 491 is the regional visa where the state gives 15 points, and it's a 5-year visa. You have to work and live in the region of the state for at least 3 years and do 3 tax returns. Then you are eligible to lodge the permanent residency under subclass 191. New South Wales, very interesting. So their regions are divided into RDAs. So there's Central Coast, Central West, Far South Coast, Far West, Hunter, Illawarra, Mid North Coast, Murray, Northern Inlands, Northern Rivers, Orana, Riverina, Southern Inland, and Sydney. So these are their so they are controlled differently through different officers. So why that's important, I'll come to that soon. Subclass 491 has 2 pathways, Pathway 1 and Pathway 2. Pathway 1 also have two streams, Stream A and Stream B. So I'll go through the nomination criteria for each one of these. Why it's important? It's because you can then identify which pathway and which stream that you have the best chance to get the invitation, or that you're eligible, and then you apply under that. So that way, you can save a lot of time and make sure you get an invitation. So Pathway 1 of subclass 491, where you apply directly to the regional the RDA office. You apply directly through them. Pathway 2 is then you be invited to apply by Investment New South Wales. So that's the whole body. And there are 2 streams under Pathway 1. First one is establish work history with a regional New South Wales based employer. So you've been working in regional New South Wales based employer. Stream B is that you believe that your skills are required in New South Wales. That means like you don't necessarily have to be working. So again, the nomination criteria is basic criteria. You need to be eligible for Home Affairs criteria, and then you need to meet the other requirements of each pathway or stream that you are looking for. Stream A, the established work history. So you to apply under this stream, you must be currently working and living in a designated regional area of New South Wales. And you must have done this for at least 12 months to be eligible for this stream. This occupation has to be either in your nominated occupation or closely related occupation. And this employment for the last 12 months has to be with the same employer, regional based employer. And then you must have gotten paid at least the TISMIT, which is 53,900 at the moment. So what they're saying, you don't need to be working full time, but if you're working part time, your salary has to be matched pro rata. The full time salary has to be 53,900. And then if you can qualify under all of these categories, then you will be eligible to apply for New South Wales 491 Pathway 1 Stream A. And then the Stream B, which is you believe that your skills are needed in a region. So how do you find that? You have to, each region has their employment occupation list. So you have to go and check if your nominated occupation is in that list. If so, then you can go and apply directly through to that RDA office. And again, for this stream, you have to be currently residing in New South Wales or offshore for 3 months. But as I said, you don't need to be working in your nominated occupation. And then the next one is the Pathway B. So for Pathway B, again, you need to have an occupation that's in the ANSCO group of occupations that are under one of those 5 categories. And then you need to be eligible for this visa, and you need to be currently residing in New South Wales or offshore, have continuously done so for 3 months. And then for this pathway, applying under Investment New South Wales, again you have to lodge an EOI in Skill Select, and you have to wait for an invitation to come through. And also, see, they have mentioned previously the work experience guide and the point scores. They have been removed. So this has been made easier for applicants because of the large number of invitations given, no places available under subclass 189. To be more competitive, they have removed some of the stricter criteria for all of these visas, especially for subclass 491. So I'll just quickly recap. So there's three streams, two streams, subclass 491, either pathway 1 or pathway 2, and pathway 1 has stream A and B, and pathway 2 is applied again through skill select. Again, when we're going to get an invitation, we don't know. We have to apply and then wait for the next invitation round, and hopefully we will hear from them once they pick up our application and ready to invite us. But if you're applying directly through to an RDA, the process is a bit different. So how do I do that? So first you have to make sure your eligibility requirement is complete according to Home Affairs. Then you have to make sure that you have all the eligibility requirements met for different stream or pathway that you're going to apply through. And then you have to complete an EOI and make sure that you select New South Wales only, and then you put in all the accurate information and claim accurate points for your work experience if you do have. And also you have to complete a separate application and pay a fee directly with the RDA office where you have chosen. So how do you choose the RDA office is by going through the list of occupations available, and you believe, okay, this region might need a chef, then you go and apply to that region directly, apart from lodging an EOI in the skill select system. And then you do that by lodging an online application. And then you have to wait for at least 8 weeks. It can take up to 8 weeks for an outcome. So what's the difference? Unlike the normal pathway where subclass 190 or subclass 491 pathway 2, where we get an invitation through skill select, we will never know in that system when we are going to get invited or if our application is going to be successful, because with how the EOI works in is you never get a refusal. So EOI doesn't come back and tell you, I'm sorry, you're not successful. So you just wait and wait to see if you will get an invitation, because normally an EOI, unless you withdraw it, it's valid for 2 years. Or unless the state comes and say, all the EOIs you lodged until this date is not valid anymore, go ahead and lodge another EOI for the next financial year. But if you apply to the RDA, then you will actually hear back from them, and they will say, whether you're successful or not. So that's the requirement of New South Wales, and that's how you, pathway 1, that's how you apply directly to an RDA office. So what I can again say that why an application can be refused or declined is, one reason, you have again wrongly claimed your work experience. So it's very clear. I'll read it actually from their website. For the purpose of New South Wales nomination, you may only claim employment that is after the date you have been deemed skilled by your skill assessor, or after the date you have completed your qualifying studies. If you claim employment in your skill select EOI before the date you are deemed skilled in your occupation, you are not eligible to apply for New South Wales nomination if invited. There are no exceptions for this reason. So as I said, be very careful. Maybe even if you're not confident enough, get professional advice or get a migration agent's help. Make sure a lot of our applicants, they come to us and they say, okay, I believe I have work experience for 15 years. Great. You can claim the maximum points. Then we look through the qualifications and we figure out, they've been working since high school, but then later they ended up getting a qualification. So be very careful how many years of work experience you claim. That is one of the highest reasons why you can get a refusal, or even if you're invited at the point where you have to actually prove your work experience, it can be an issue. So that is New South Wales nomination for subclass 190 and 491 very briefly explained to you, but I think I covered all the points of how to lodge your application and what are the key criteria that you need to look for. I hope it's clear, but if you need further advice or if you need to get your EOI in the system for New South Wales 190, or if you believe that you want to apply for one of the RDAs, get in touch with us. We can check your background and advise you if you are eligible. I will now take a bit of time to answer some of the questions. I've got Prince asking, can we get an employer who can employ international candidates? So, Prince, thank you so much for the question. We do work with corporate clients where we handle their visas, and they normally come to us and say that, we need help. Can you please find us employees for these positions? Right now, I'm working with employers who needs motor mechanics, bakers, chefs, um, fitters, maintenance fitters, um, physiotherapists. So yes, there are employers that we work with who needs people. Yeah. So, but I don't know which occupation you're referring to. Get in touch with us. Hopefully, we can help. I've got Prakash saying hello Prakash, and I've got Prakash asking, ma'am, my wife working as aged care last 4 years. She's 50 years old. What's the pathway PR? Okay, there are some. Okay, normally to get permanent residency, the cutoff is 45 through employee nominated visa or through general skill migration. But there are some programs called DAMA, designated area migration programs. Those programs have waivers. Sometimes they waive qualifications, sometimes they waive work experience, sometimes they waive age. So if we can find a Dharma where your wife can get a employment and a sponsorship, so that would be the only way for permanent residency for her through aged care. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult because because of the age. I am thinking of, I think next week we are going to be talking about Victoria, but also I'm going to be covering Dharmas and employee nominated visas in the upcoming live sessions after 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to be very interesting because so many employers are now looking for people, and also other candidates are trying to connect with employers. And there are extra places given as well for the next financial year. So I think it's going to be very interesting. And so I thought I'll cover all this visa subclasses, subclass 482, subclass 186, subclass 494, and also there are different streams, different requirements, and different ways for permanent residency. There are a lot of changes coming as well for these visas, and there's going to be permanent residency pathways for all the applicants who are in short-term list or medium to long-term list. So this is really good news for most of our applicants. So there's going to be a few sessions coming in the future covering all this, your eligibility and how to get your permanent residency through subclass 482 and 186 and 494. So it's going to be very interesting. And I've got another question here. I have certificate 2 years experience and IELTS. Kindly guide me. So Susan, can you please tell me which qualification and which kind of experience you have? Is it aged care or something else? Then I can help you to see if there are any pathways for you. So until she gets back to me, so I'll just quickly recap. The pathways available for New South Wales are subclass 190 and 491. 491 has pathway 1, stream pathway 1 and pathway 2. Pathway 1 has stream A and B. Stream A is if you've been working in New South Wales for 12 months. Stream B is you have not been working but you've been living for 3 months and you believe your skills are needed in a region. So you can apply directly to the region. Pathway B is you apply directly to the Investment New South Wales and get selected from them. So that's the brief of New South Wales. I've got Susan coming back to me saying she's a caregiver, healthcare assistant, already have a certificate and good experience in the field. So please send us an email admin@cirrus.com.au and attach your CV and your IELTS so that I can get a better understanding, and then we should be able to help you. I've got Geogri asking, hi Ashani, I'm currently studying in Advanced Diploma of IT Telecommunications. Do you think New South Wales is a good place to apply 190 491? I believe so, especially if you're studying in New South Wales. I think New South Wales would be a good state, especially if you're interested in, you said 190 and 491. Yeah, so I think you're going to be a telecommunication field officer, field engineer, one of these occupations that is on the medium to long term list. So based on where you're currently studying, I think New South Wales or even South Australia, Queensland, all of these states would be good depending on how many points you have. I've got First Lem asking how to apply. So please get in touch with us. We will guide you how to apply. You can again email us admin@cirrus.com.au and we should be able to help you. All right, guys, time's running out. Thank you so much again for joining. Next week we are going to be covering is it Victoria. Again, very interesting state. A lot of rules have changed since they started last year. They're also very competitive, but so many international students and many people are interested in applying for Victoria, so it's going to be interesting. As I said, keep your eyes open. There are news coming every day pretty much for Australian visas. A lot of big changes we are hoping to see in the next few months. As soon as we hear the news, we'll try our best to get in touch with us. That brings to my attention, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so you will get notified as soon as we release a video. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Stay safe.